student, right? So let me log in as a student, and I'll show you how I'm able to see mine. So I'm just wondering now I'm able to see yours.
Okay.
So let me try and log in right now. Okay. So this is my dashboard now. So I have my resume. So if you have been watching your resume learning, so you should see the course. The course is modern web development with AI from front end to
Okay.
intelligent application. So if you click on resume learning or you start your learning, you will see it here.
Okay.
It's called live recording. On live recording, we have two of them. So there's one that is this is the biggest one. I think that was the one that we recorded the other day.
Okay.
When Peter was on the call, yes. So this one is 1 hour, 32 minutes, 19 seconds.
Okay.
So you can see. So the second one is the recording. So this one is 17 seconds. That was the last class. So only one person joined. So and the person was having some challenges with their internet. So I had to
Okay.
record for
I've
just
seen
17
it.
minutes and just go. So yeah, the two of them are
I've
there.
seen
So
it.
if you go
I've
back
seen
there,
it.
okay,
Thank you,
that's
sir.
fine. So all right, you're welcome. So my plan is to be able to update all these learnings, right? So that you can have more richer content. But since it's a live class, so my plan is to demonstrate everything that I'm teaching right now so that you can be able to understand them. So, but I will not
All
be
right.
going back again, back and forth. I would like to move forward today. So,
No problem.
people that will join, yes. All right. All right. Let me log in back and look at my curriculum. So, the last time we were supposed to go to, let me go here. Where's my court? Let me go to court. Is still okay. Let me get the court from. Okay, cool. So, okay, that's fine. So let's go to manage sessions and see our notes. All right. So we're supposed to have treated this one last time, but we couldn't treat this one last time because of the low turnout, right? So that's why we didn't treat this one. But I will go ahead and do a recap on this one. So let me go back there. That should be our third session, but the turnout was
Low.
really low, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense. So what I'm supposed to teach the last time is to talk about the cloud AI assistant. So
Okay. Cloud.
our
Okay.
cloud,
Cloud AI.
yeah, the cloud AI assistant. So, and before we talk about AI assistance, we need to talk about the elephant in the room. So the elephant in the room is the AI itself. So
Yes.
we talk about what is artificial intelligence and how does it evolve into something that is not intelligent that we say, oh, okay, we are now trying to use it to write our code and use it to do a lot of things. So, and AI is an artificial intelligence, and it's just a way for computer to be able to do things on their own, things that human being can do. They're able to do it through some algorithms, right? So, for example, in the past, uh, we have drivers that do drive a car. We have Ubers, whatever. But if you go to places like US now, you see that there are a lot of things that people are doing right now. So you have like self-driving cars, you have like automation robots, go to restaurants, a lot of so those are kind of things that people can do in the past. But right now, people have been able to modernize in such a way that AI can do all those things for us. So, and how does AI actually works? How does it work? So, what exactly make AI to work? And people say, okay, we're talking about AI. So, AI cannot work on its own, even though AI is an intelligent system, right? That means AI needs system. It needs data. It needs data set. So that means that,
Okay.
for example, if if AI is to understand coding, now look at Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow was part of the success of all these coding AI agents because there is nowhere in the world they can get a repository of code that contains solutions and problems that they can use. You can see that most of the time when you give AI a prompt, what would they do? They will just give you something. So what they gave you does not mean that it is optimized. It does not mean that it's going to work or does not mean that it's not going to work. AI has not tested it. You just say, AI, give me a landing page, it will give you. AI, give me a bookshelf, whatever. I want to develop a bookshelf, user must do that, it will give you. You understand? How does this one happen? So they have been trained a lot of data sets to understand this is coding, this is not coding, this is how it should work, this is how to generate code. Somebody asks you to generate a function. This is how a function works. If I have a bug, this is how to debug. Normally when we're debugging in the past, we look for the line that error occurred. Then we look at the whatever is given to us. So how does AI know all these things? It is because AI has been fed with a lot of data for them to be able to know all this. That's why you guys realize that when AI first came out, it wasn't that intelligent. It wasn't that intelligent. It was making a lot of mistakes. But model over model, year over year, it's getting much and much more brilliant. So today now people are building websites, people are building a lot of applications with AI. So, and even me, I'm doing a lot of things with AI. So I have several models that I'm currently using to build the AI from. So how does coding agent works? I'm going to go ahead and show you how coding agent works. I'm currently using one myself right now. So let me know if you can see my screen. So now coding agents, there are a lot of them, right? So there are a lot of coding agents that we have, and there are a lot of companies that are also into all this AI agent business, right? I'll call it business. So out of them, we have the OpenAI. Okay, I don't want this one. So out of them, we have the OpenAI. So the OpenAI is also a company that does AI framework. Then we have Anthropic Cloud, which is like the most commonest of them all, and people say it's the master. Now, why do people call Cloud the master? It is because Cloud understands coding and it also understands UI very well. So that means when you give your prompt to UI to an AI model, it can help you to create something that you want it to create. So, but it does not mean that it's going to make it better. But how can we use AI to our advantage? How can we use AI to write JavaScript? In our previous code, we have talked about to write AI and whatever. We have written JavaScript. I've talked about let and whatever. So that's why every time we preach, we say people should know their fundamentals. Don't just rush to AI and say, oh, AI is what people are talking about now. Even me, I want to be doing AI. AI is good. It's very, very good. But without you knowing what AI stands for and knowing the fundamentals, people are going to be having a lot of issues. So let me see if I can open my VS Code and see. I think I have VS Code here. I think. Let me see. I think I have VS Code or code. Let me check. I have VS Code here. Okay. So let me see. I don't have VS Code. Okay, cool. So if I don't have VS Code, let me create a new project here. I want to show you what AI is capable of doing. So let me have a new project. I will call this one not Laravel per se. I will say
Sorry, what ID is this? It looks like head.
this is a PHP storm.
Okay, PHP Storm. Okay.
Yeah. I'll just say HTML. Let me just do like let me just do HTML. Let me just do HTML stuff. So new window. So right now, a lot of people have been using AI. They have been doing a lot of things with AI. They have been saying a lot of things about AI. Everybody's talking about AI. I'm doing AI. I'm doing AI. I'm doing a lot of things about AI. I'm AI. I'm whatever. So now I've talked about it. Like we have a lot of things about AI, right? So it depends on what you want to do, right? So in all these companies, this company created these things for one purpose, right? And the purpose of creating these things are different. For example, if you look at some AI models on Anthropic, so let me open 404. Is there any? Okay, that I've seen. Okay, cool. So now this is more like a page. That's a boilerplate of HTML. So right now we have like different part of all this AI. So let me go ahead and show you the models. So let's see. Okay, cool. So you can see that Cloud has a lot of models. Let me see more models. Yeah. So they have like Opus 4.6, they have Sonnet, they have Haiku, they have so they have all these ones that we know. So are the different capabilities, right? So Haiku is just for faster things, right? So I won't use Haiku to write my code because it's not that intense. I will rather use Opus, because Opus is built for ambitious and more difficult tasks, right? So I will not use IQ for my research. If I'm making some deep research, I'd rather use Sonnet. Sonnet is good with when it comes to research. So having know all these things, then let's go to OpenAI and see what OpenAI is capable of doing. So let's look at those models. So after we know all those models, we can now go ahead and see what we can do with all those things. So it will really, really help us to know what all skills are capable of doing. Some people just say, "Oh, I'm using ChatGPT to write code." And okay, come. So now let's go to ChatGPT. So let's go ChatGPT and let's look at the models that are here as well. So there are a lot of models that are here. So in ChatGPT, we have GPT. They have so many of GPT versions that we have. So we have GPT 4.0. I think we have GPT 5.3. We have a lot of all of those ones. So the capability different. It differs in whatever they want to use it for. So, but from my own experience, I've understand that if you want to write code, ChatGPT is good for backend code, right? But if you are dealing with UIs, I will never, I've never, I would never tell anybody that they should use it because it is very, very poor when it comes to UI. It cannot interpret UI. It's very, very poor. But when you give the same equivalent to Cloud, you see that Cloud performs very much better than GPT. So, but both of them can write code very well. So some people normally use so when it comes to image generation or whatever, I don't waste my time to use this GPT, whatever. I don't waste my time. So there are a lot of models. There's something they call stability AI. Stability AI is the best. Yes, when it comes to image generation, is the best, although it's expensive. So if you want to generate image, hyperrealistic 3D videos or images, use stability. So if you are,
Stability. Is it like
yeah,
mid
if you are,
journey?
it's powerful, it's more powerful than mid journey.
Okay.
So and one of the problem with all these things is that mid journey and stability, they don't get lane of text over images. That's one of their limitations. But let's leave that one for now. Let's go back to our coding. So now we have so that I've said, okay, how can we integrate cloud into our JavaScript, right? So rather than talk about okay, we're using cloud AI assistance. Now, right now, my own editor right now is in a PHP Storm. Why did I like PHP Storm? I like PHP Storm because it has a lot of functionalities, like you can plug in a lot of things to it, right? So, and I like the fact that it has a lot of plugins. So, although people argue that VS Code is free, but this one has a lot of things that you can do. So, first and foremost, how do you install this AI assistance? There are two ways that you can do it, right? So, number one, let's see if you can go to the browser. So, number one, you go to their website. So ChatGPT has what we call codex. So codex is the CLI of ChatGPT. So ChatGPT codex. So we have the ChatGPT codex. So we have the codex. So the codex is the one that allows you to write code from your terminal. So we have the codex. So you can decide to install it, but the caveat is that you have to have a subscription. So without the subscription, you cannot use codex. Same thing with cloud CLI as well. So you have to be able to have access to a subscription. So those subscriptions are not that cheap. So I think later they created but I never downloaded this one because I don't know. I don't want to have so many editors on my system. So they created this Mac OS download, but I don't care about it. So you can go ahead and go to the cloud version of it and begin to write your code, right? You want to write your code, tell you what to do or whatever like that. So, and one of the beautiful things about it is that you might even decide not to have an editor. Why? Because you can plug in your Git. So plug in your GitHub directly here, and just from here, just begin to code from your repository and push to a new branch, and from there connect it to your cloud or whatever to your whatever you are using as your CI/CD pipeline. So, and you can also try it out in your IDE if you want. The same thing also happens also too in cloud, where you can write the code also in an editor without having an editor. So you can also do the same thing. Okay, so here you can see that I'm using the desktop version. You have the chat, you have the code as well. So the code aspect now, what you can do is that you can also connect your repository here. right? So look at it now. I connected my GitHub here, and I'm currently using this branch, right? So you can connect your GitHub here, and even when you're on your phone, the beauty of this is that when you're on your phone, you can just type some things on your phone, and it can deploy for you without actually having a system. So that's one of the benefits of having all these tools, right? So having said that, now let's go to business of the day. So we said if you already have a project in the past, how can we connect? So let me rename this guy and delete everything that is here. So let me rename this guy. Let me rename this folder to rename directory or rename project. Oh no, rename directory to AI assisted coding. AI assisted coding. So now I'm going to go ahead right now. I've renamed the project. I'm going to go ahead right now and remove everything that is here. So the reason I'm removing everything that is here is I want to set up this project because we are talking about JavaScript. So how can we use
Sorry,
that? How can,
the cloud that you did,
yes,
did you upgrade? Did you upgrade your plan to have that
yes, yes.
feature?
Yeah, yeah. I'm currently on
Maybe you
the
should add it
max.
so that people will know that it's not on free plan.
Yeah, yeah. It's not but I think co-worker. I think so I don't know what OS you are using, but if you are not on this one, you cannot be able to see all these models. So because I'm on the max plan, I'm
Okay.
on the max plan. That's how I'm able to have access to all this one. But I think you can start from the
I'm
cheapest,
on
of
the
which is
free plan.
$17
That's
per
why.
month. Yes, yeah, you can start from $17 per month. So $17 per month will allow you to code just that your token will finish on time, right? So, but if you have money, you can start from $17 per month. So that gives you a lot of flexibilities. So, but if you don't have money, you can start from the normal code stuff, right? So now let's go ahead here and create a Java SML file, and I'll call this one index.html. So cool. So right now, I'm not going to explain what HTML or whatever means right now. So now what we can do right now is let me try and rename the project as well. I think the project this one needs to be renamed. Rename project as well to AI assisted coding. Cool. So now you have this one in place right now. So how do you launch your coding? How do you launch it? So what I'm going to do is that so here right now I've already installed my CLI. That's the problem.
Your cloud
So
code,
but in
yeah.
your case, you are going to install your own CLI by yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be the one to install the CLI. So but there are a lot of ways that you can install the CLI. So let me go back here. So you can go to ChatGPT Codex. I think yeah, this is the codex. So you can go here and install your CLI. Install it. So when you're using if you're using through the npm, it's quite very simple. Come here and say try this one. There's a way to install this CLI through the npm package. So, but I think I install my own through the home because I'm on Mac OS. So let me see from here. Okay, I'm not taking people to this place now. That's not what I want. So you can install the CLI if you don't want to come here. I don't want this one. I want the CLI. Okay, try it in your terminal. Okay. So the time you can click on this one and install it directly from there. So okay, cool. So you can use your npm or homebrew. So if you're on Mac OS, you can do your normal brew install codex, and that gives you the codex. So and you do your codex whatever. So I have both codex and I have. So let me just go and do an example for you. I have both codex, but I don't have subscription for this one. I can do codex.
I've used cloud code before, but not Codex.
Oh, okay. So codex is just the OpenAI version. So I just say hello just to trigger it. So you can just put your hello here just to trigger this guy, and you put your so I think it's not saying it here. I don't know what is wrong with this, but let me go to my. I don't know what is wrong with this one, but let me go to my CLI. So let me go to my. Okay, let me do LX minus AL. Cool. Okay. So let me seed into PHP storm. I will do the okay. Let me do my LX minus AL to look at my directory. I want to show you the two. Okay. CD into AI assisted. Cool. So now I have this one, ls minus AL. Cool. So I'm already here right now. So I have only one thing. I can just do codex. but I'm not sure it's going to work because I don't have subscription. Codex. Okay, I don't have Codex installed. I don't have Codex installed. That's true. Okay, let me go ahead and install this code. I think this is a new MacBook. Let me go ahead and install Codex using the npm. Okay, cool. So I won't try this one. Let me just do the npm version of it. So I go here right now and copy this guy from here. So I will go ahead and switch back, and I would install this guy here. Let me just do copy paste. So I can use my my npm package to install it. So it's quite easy. Okay, what is it saying? I don't have permission. Okay, let me put sudo here. Let me put sudo. What's happening? Okay, let me try through the administrator part whether it's going to work, because I don't have a sudo. So right now, if you are also on the Windows, you can install Codex. But the problem is I'm not sure if the Codex is going to work for me. But let me just try. So because I don't have subscription, so Codex, can do Codex. Okay, let's do Codex. So I think it's going to ask us to log in. That's the first stage. So our Codex is already installed. So you can install your Codex from now. It's saying you can see now. It's telling me that I should install it from. I should sign up. So if I click on sign from here, it will try to sign in from here, right? So, but the issue that is that you sign me in, but I don't have subscription, so it's not going to work. I'm not sure it's going to work for me. So open AI. Let me log in from here. Let me log in from my Google. I have an account with them before. So this is how to install. So the easiest way to install this guy is to install it directly using the node into the npm package. So that way you don't have to be setting environment variable and be setting a lot of things that might cause a lot of issue for you. So right now, it said this install. So let me go back to my terminal. Let me go back to my terminal. Cool. So I will enter to continue. Cool. All right. So it's asking me that, okay, Coda just got a new upgrade, which is a GPT 5.4. And if I want to try it out, right? So let me just say, okay, let me say use existing model, right? So, and how you can know is that you can just put /model here to see the model that exists. You can see. So right now, there are a lot of models that exist here. We have the GPT 5.1 Codex Mini. That's optimized for Codex, cheaper and faster. So that means that if you are looking into running something very cheap, right? So something very cheap, what you have to do is very simple. Use the smallest version. That's the Mini. If I look for something that is more optimized, go for Max. But this one is more like the latest, which is the 5.3 Codex, right? That's the, so it depends on what you want. So what you want will determine on what you get. But let's use the current one, which is 5.3. Is not bad, right? So let's go here and click on this one. It said, what is the reasoning that you want? Is it fast reasoning? Just a medium reasoning. So I will say we'll just do like so we'll say it should be new. So new means that it's going to initialize the conversation, study the repository, but at this point, this one is just a very new repository, so there's nothing that is in it, right? So right now is your CLI. You can ask him to do whatever you want him to do, right? So let's say add JavaScript.
So Codex has a free version for a limited time.
Yeah. I think maybe they just added that. So we have add JavaScript data types now, for example. So let's say we don't want to type ourselves data types. Right, so let's do that one right now. So, and now if we do this one right now, what do we have? What is happening? I'm not getting anything. Okay, let me do. Okay. I'm not getting any conversation. What's happening? Okay, it's working now. That's fine. So okay, say hello. Okay, well, that's fine. So let me say you should do this one. So let me see. Okay, I will say create a JavaScript file. So because right now we're trying to learn, right? Create a JavaScript file and add the data types, right? So that's what we're trying to do. So because our course said that we should try to use AI to assist ourselves in something. So All right, let's see what this one is capable of doing. So don't forget that you have to be in the repository before you do all those. So I'll create, okay, that's good. So it's trying to create a file right now and put data types there. So which is very good for us. Cool. Okay. So he said, can I add array and function? We'll say yes, please. So this Codex trying to do his thing. So, and it's quite very easy for us to understand how Codex works, right? You guys came late. You came late. Check your email. You guys came late. All right. So right now, let's go back to our editor right now and see what has been generated for us here. Let's go back to our editor. All right, cool. And see what has been generated for us right now. So now, instead of me type all these things out now, AI has already helped me to talk about the data types that I have in JavaScript. Talk about the text, which is the hello. We have done all these things in the past, right? So I don't like going back and forth on this, but I think our aim is just to be able to see how this CLI works, right? So right now we're trying out Codex, right? But our course is saying that we should try out Claude, but we have to know the difference between the two of them, right? So we're going to do a bit of example now. Let me go back to our teaching plan. So right now it said we're going to implement the JavaScript development work. You also need to use OpenAI client library. You also interact with cloud model, whatever. So right now we are going to cause a bug now. So let me go back. So we're going to cause a bug and see how intelligent this one will solve that bug for us. So the purpose of this course is just to introduce us number one to the CLI first, to know how this one works,
Sorry,
right?
where did he create that data type? Can I see it? The file it
is here. Let me show you. Is here. So the file is exported on this one. You know, we are working from the directory, so it's going to create here.
Okay, yes. Okay.
Yes. So, but the aim of this course is to show us how this one. So we're going to cause a bug now. So what I'm going to do right now is just do something like let's do. Okay, so it's going to log one. Let's see if I can run this guy. I need to run this guy. Okay, let me run this. Let me run this guy from the node environment. So right now you can see that if you run this guy, you can see it's showing us that. So this is run from the Node.js environment. So it's telling us that okay, string is hello, and this one is coming from the console.log. Console.log is a way we print out in JavaScript or to output data. So you can see big integer is this, and Boolean is true, object is null, undefined is undefined, the symbol, the object in array, the function, whatever. So, and the object is just adding to. So these are the kind of the ways that we can learn, right? But this is not like a learning platform. Let me close this guy. I think it's distracting to me. Let me close it. So this is not like a learning platform. So the purpose of using Cloud Code is for us to help us to accelerate our programming, our code, right? So now, how do we use AI to generate code, right? So you have seen. So we can also do the same thing that Cloud is doing, right? By helping us to generate the code, whatever. So what we can do is that we can set up our OpenAI client. So on OpenAI, you can generate your OpenAI, put your key there, and type your prompt, right? So I'm going to release a course very soon. The course is prompt engineering. I'm coming. Let me see if I can send. People want to join, but they are saying that they cannot join. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can just quickly send this one to them because they are supposed to join. I'm coming. Let me quickly send it to them. They want to join. Time is very, very important. So if you want to join the call, you have to join the call on time. Time is of the essence. Let me send this to them. So if you understand this one, so that means that you yourself, you can also do a lot of things as well on your own to make it you can also create your own editor. You can create, so what you have to understand is prompt engineering, right? If you understand prompt engineering very well, you understand that AI is built on prompt. But I think I'm creating a course on prompt engineering. So what this one told us now is that it said in our lesson, said we should set up an OpenAI client. Now, for you, so what we are trying to do now is that the other guy said, at the end of this course, we are going to build a chat bot. What the chat bot is going to do is that it's going to serve as an assistant for us. So when somebody comes to your website, instead of them to go to frequency ask question, they talk to your AI bot, and the bot will say, okay, I'm here. What can I do for you? I would like to reset my password. So the AI will now go to your knowledge base and give the user the steps that they need to create that stuff. So let's go ahead now and set up our client now. So this way, we are using OpenAI. Let's go back here. Let's go here and do. Okay, let's talk to our AI to do this one for us. So I will just tell him to do this thing. It's very simple. So let me just say copy from here and go back to our OpenAI. I will say that I will say create a JavaScript. Don't forget file that communicates with OpenAI. Okay, so I'll just say I'll paste this one here as a reference. So right now, I should create a JavaScript file. What will JavaScript file do? What it will do is that it will go ahead and create another file. So what we are trying to do right now is that we are trying to use JavaScript to communicate with OpenAI, and I'm going to set our prompt. You will see what the prompt will bring and how we can actually handle the prompt. So the purpose of this one is that you can see. So it's trying to create a file for us right now called OpenAI client. So it has added this. So let's see. Let's go back here. What we're trying to do is that we are doing AI assisted coding. Don't forget. So here we have this one here, and so you can see here it is. Let me come back here. So it has imported the OpenAI from here, but the problem is that this one has no package. So we have to add our packages to it. It cannot go to work. We need package dot. We need to install this guy. It's a JavaScript library, so we have to install it. We have a package.json file that will install this guy for us. We need to have our environment variable file, which is .env. For people that have not been coding before, so the env file is what we call environment variable. Environment variable allows us to do what? To be able to store values that we can use throughout our application, right? So let's go ahead here now and create not a directory but a file. So we're going to store our OpenAI code here. So let's go here and create our file. So I will call it .env. So this is where the thing gets so much interesting right now. So let's go back here right now and copy this OpenAI from here and put the key here and do our equal to. So I will teach us now how we can locate our OpenAI API key. So let's go here and see our process. We need to import our process OpenAI key. Unresolved. Okay, cool. We're still analyzing the code. So what we are trying to do here, according to our noticing note, is that we are trying to see the capability of Claude, right? So we want to generate a simple React component that displays a greeting. So how can we prompt? So that means that you can, so as long as you know how to use your prompt, you can use AI to do anything. You can use it to create an ebook website where people go and generate ebooks. You can use it to create animations. You can use it to do a lot of things. But the most important thing that matters the most is that you must know what you are doing. That is the most important aspect of this one. You must know what you are doing. You must know about prompt engineering. So prompt engineering now is telling us that, okay, even though we are trying to say, okay, Cloud Code can help us, but can we also set up our own client and use it as a prompt? So how can we do all these things by ourselves? And that's why we're okay, let's look at it and let's go at it from one after the other and see what we can do from here. So after this one, we'll now move to PHP and see what is PHP. But for now, let's see how we can use all this API client to do this one. But that's not where we are going. What we're actually going is that how can we use AI assistant to create our own code without necessarily coming in, but we need to also talk about this one on the side, right? So let me see. I need to import the process. I need to import this process. Let me see. So right now, I will just say, I will go back and tell my own AI. I will say AI, it should import all missing library. I will just say codex should import my missing library. So that way, I don't have to give myself stress. I'll just say import the, you can see. So I'm talking to this file now from this one, the process. I enter the process and all missing library. So in the open AI GS file. So right now I'm trying to write an open AI prompt, like an agent now, for example. So I'm talking to this thing now that Claude should help me to import of it. So it's good to update it now and help me to add all my .NET environment into it. So it has helped me to add the node process right now and require the node and set up the configuration for me. So now let me see what it has done right now. So install the missing. So it said I'm going to install it then. So right now I think one of the things I don't like about Cloud, I don't know if it has improved, is that it can't help you to install something from after this example. Let me just say install the packages. Let's see if we can do it from here. Install the packages. Let's try. So let's try and see if we can do it. In the past, I realized I cannot do it, like trying to install like npm whatever. But let me see if we can do it right now. So you can realize that AI assisted coding is very, very sweet. But what I'm always talking about is that okay, I will install OpenAI and .NET in this project now. Then confirm that was added. You understand? So you realize that one of the challenges that we have right now is that people just jump into AI without understanding the basics. So you cannot understand what they call env file if you are not a programmer. You don't know what they call .NET environment. You don't know what they call process. So all these things you cannot explain them if you don't know about. So you don't know about it, you cannot understand it at all. Even this required right now. Let me see. Okay. So let me enable the code assistant for Node.js now. We have 2 people on the call.
It's just me and you.
Okay, that's fine. So what you call, that means they can't have more than 2 questions. So and that's why Lightcast is very sweet, because you can actually ask questions if you don't understand things. So let's go ahead. Okay, cool. So let me see. Okay. Let me see. Okay, cool. So it has installed these 2 files. Let's go and check now. Okay. It's telling me that I'm using an old SDK. So let me tell you that yes, please, you should help me to update it. So that's that way. So what I'm trying to demonstrate here is not where we are going, right? Where we are going is that we are going to assist ourselves with code. That's where we are going. Okay, that's beautiful. So now he said everything is set now. Now, what he has done for us is that we need to put our key here. So how do we locate our key? It's very simple. We go to our Codex platform, open AI, to log in. So this is not your ChatGPT token, but your OpenAI token. So go to API platform. So you log in, copy your token, and put it there. Okay, let me log in with my Google Mail. Okay, awesome. So let me go to my account here, and okay, API keys, I find it. So I have some in the past that I'm using, right? So you can create a new one again. Let me create a new key here again. I will call it coding test. So what this one means is that if you are planning to build your own chatbot, you are planning to build your own project, you do not need, all you need to know is prompting. Now this prompting is different from what you know before, right? So this prompting is different from what you know before. This one is just, so what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to build my own agent, right? So what we're going to do at the end of this project is that we're going to be able to build our own agent, which I said that what would the agent do? The agent will help us to attend to customer. What's the customer trying to do? He's trying to come to our website and know a lot of things about us. But we say, okay, for you to know about us, we're going to take your prompt. So the prompt will now determine what you are going to get. So I will teach us how to fetch data from our file, and we can plug in our rack system. So that's the essence of this course. We are going to build our backend in Laravel. We are going to build our front end with JavaScript. Then a user type in a text in JavaScript, send the request to the backend, or if you don't want, we can do everything in JavaScript so that nothing go to the backend and come back. But if you need to store data in terms of rack system, we still need to the backend. So, but let's go right now. So we can use AI to debug this. Let's go. Let's say AI should help us to run this one. So right now you can see that it's using a lot of models. What's wrong with this one? Is it looking for our weight? Okay, then okay. Okay, let me do console.log. Okay. Oh, this one return. Okay, it's going to console.log. Okay, then okay, let me see. It's looking for then. What is this one returning? Okay, let me console.log. So it's looking for the then, but I don't want to add the then to. Let me just do. Yeah, that should be fine. It's a promise. It's only a promise. So I think JavaScript is also a console on its own, but we will not go there. So right now, what I'm going to do is to run this one. Let's see if you are going to get a success or we are going to get another thing. So if you run this one, now you can see that I've added my key. Without that key, okay, he said, okay, cool. Let me know if you want help with anything more specific here. Cool. We can see what we run now is that we run node. So let me know if okay. What is it? Okay, where is it? Okay, here. So we said hello from Node.js, right? So this is our prompt, but the prompt is not prompting. What should we do? We are trying to build our own agents, right? So right now we are going to something very serious now, and people should be very serious when they go to this one. Like so, your capstone project is going to be on this. You are going to have an open AI. You plug in your model. You are going to create your backend in PHP, your front end in HTML and CSS and JavaScript. You are going to build a chatbot. So the chatbot is going to do what? The chatbot is going to be your frequently asked questions. What you are going to do, your frequently asked question is that you are going to be able to communicate with an AI model. So right now, the other time I showed us a lot of models in this one, but right now we decided to choose the smallest model, which is the ChatGPT 4.1 mini. Why did we choose 4.1 mini? Because it's very cheap, right? So let's go back to our class, our lesson now, and copy some prompts from there. So prompt engineering is very important. Now, what do we do? Let me explain to you what we did here. Come back here. So what we did here right now is that we did some basic things here. Let me show you. So what we did here is that, number one is that we are using the node process. So we set up our client, AI client. They're going to do a lot of this in our capstone project. By the end of the project, we're going to do a lot of capstone project. So we now say we're having an async. I've explained this async the other time. I think that's when, if you go and watch my video, I talk about async. I said async is that when you go to a restaurant, you have ordered for shawarma, you have ordered for spaghetti bolognese, right? So what happened is that in the past, if you want, when we are still using like the blocking one, if you order for shawarma, if shawarma has not come, you cannot do any other thing, right? But yes, it's now introduce what we call async await. That means that I can be doing other things while I'm also still doing others. That means that when your website is loading, whether report is not loading, why should your application stop because whether report is not loading? Why? So these are challenges that we were having before in JavaScript that it is called blocking. So, but right now we call it non-blocking because it is called async await. That means that whenever this one is running, other things can also be running while this one is waiting. You understand? So right now, what we now say now, okay, this is an async function. So async function will also return a promise. We can now put our then function there. Then if we return a value from here now, we can get the value back, right? So right now you can see that we are doing. Okay, let me do. If I return something from here, I'm coming. Let me see if I can return something from here. And I can easily put this guy on. Let me see. So let me see if I can return something from here. So if you return this response.text from here, let me see. To return this one from the async function. Let me return this one from async function. So here you should have inside the string, you have like okay, you can say result from here. I can have your result, right? So you can have your result here. So here, instead of you to dump this one, you can just say I'm dumping this one here, comma result here. Should have see this one should still work. So what is happening now is that instead of logging these results directly in this await, you decide to return it so that you can call a promise on it. You understand? JavaScript is a lot of something on its own, and this is what we call arrow function. Arrow function allows you to write something very. So instead of writing this one, we can write it like this. We can do something like function. That's how we can do something like function, right? But that one is we can do a function. Can say function result. So we can now say something like this here, you know, console.log result. So this one is like, it's very long. So yes, it's introduced what we call arrow function. Arrow function allows us to have this one in short mode, right? So console.log, we can now say here result. So, but this one, nobody cares about this one. So we remove this one from here. Now, let's go back and copy a good prompt, right? So if you run this one back, you'll still be able to get your ear back and all this one. So nothing should change here. Let me run this one. Everything should still work. Everything should still work here. So let me see. Okay, cool. So hello here. It looks like okay, cool. So now, how do we now do this? Is by what they call prompt engineering. So I'm releasing the course very soon. I think it's free. Everybody should go and watch it. So that's how you can do prompt. So now let us copy this prompt now. So we are going to copy this prompt from our text. This one is supposed to generate a React component for us. So that means even you yourself, you can build your own code, something like Laravel, you can build it. If you know prompt engineering, So let me come here now and do my const prompt here. Now, he said, now let me put my prompt here. So if you know how to do something like this, you can also build your own lovable that will generate the code and everything for you, and you can allow people to build applications that they want if you know how to use your prompt engineering very well. So right now, let's save this one and rerun this guy now. Let's rerun this guy. You can see, is it going to generate something for us? So right now, we say generate a React component for us that displays a greeting message. That's what we're asking it to do. You understand? So what is it doing now? Export defaults. Okay, you can see. Can you see? It has helped us to generate a GSX. Let me show you now. Let me expand it for you. You can see. So all these things that you can see. So this is a GSX. It said import. It said export default greeting. And it said import. So you can see this one automatically now. If you copy and paste this one now, the only thing is just that the component is not got it from anywhere. So the component assumes that it exists somewhere. You can see. So this is your normal agent. So how people build with multimodal agents is that I will not talk about multimodal. I think that's going to be another topic on its own when we talk about the multimodal agents. How you can build like an agent that some of them will be able to do research, some of them will be able to filter. For example, if I build this code now, I can build another agent that help me to confirm if the everything is correct. So if I'm using GPT 4.1 mini for it, I might say, okay, no, give the result of this context to another one, and another one help me to fine tune it. So you can be the multimodal agent, but we might get there in this course and we might not get there. So I don't know. So right now you can see that what we have done right now is that we have built our own agent. Building agent is very simple because we have the OpenAI library that we can call our model on. So that means that if you go back to your, let me go back here. If you go back to your browser now, you see that in this API key that you are doing is the one allowing you to do all this one. If you go to your usage now, you can see that all the calls we are making and the report and everything is going to be here. So the purpose I'm teaching us this is that what cloud code is doing, you understand, you can also do the same if you are trying to build something out, right? I'm trying to build like a PDF generator now. You understand? A user comes there and they enter there whatever. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to plug in my OpenAI and say, okay, help me to generate a code that will do that one. So now I'm going to go off that one and go back to our teaching plan. So our teaching plan says that we can do all this one. You can see, you can do all this one. We can say refactor the following code. You understand? You can use it to do a lot of things. You can say you should refactor the code, and you can say you generate a poem. Okay, let's do something. Let's do something before we move on. Let's do some. Let's say, let's generate a poem. Let me go something and say, or generate a joke. Let's say, okay, let's say here. Our prompt now is saying that generate a random joke. If that's what we want, a random joke, right? A random joke, and return it as this format. Looking at it, you can say you should return it as this format. So you can say it's going as this format. Look at it. You can even say something like, you can say as this format. So you can put like, you should return multiple of them, like an array of objects. Let me show you. So you can tell the format that is supposed to return it, and it will do just that. So you can say return it in this format, in this JSON format. So you can tell it to return anything as far as prompting is concerned. So you can say as JSON format in this style, like joke. Then message. So let's see from here, joke message, just in that format. So let's see if we can run it and let's see what this one gives us. So that means that, so you can just make this guy to just return it that you want it to return. But this is what we are going to be working on by the time we are getting close to our capstone project. You can see, do you see? He said joke. Why don't scientists trust atom? Because they make up everything. You can see. So this one is a string now. If you have our parser, who is trying to join? Let me see. Who is trying to join? Who is trying to join? Okay, Peter is coming back. Okay, that's fine. So now, if we have our parser now, we can know that this is a. So the other day I taught you a lot of things about data types. What we are seeing here now is what they call an array of objects. So which means that if I have my, let me go here. Let me go here. Let me go here and do something like this here. Let me drop it down. Let me drop it down, drop it down, drop it down. So what you can do here now is that you can say, okay, const past JSON is equal to what now? You can see. So if you pass this guy, I realize that this guy now will give you a JSON object. So here now I can say, okay, I can say generate 10 random jokes. I run it now like this. I can generate 10 random jokes and run it for me. You can see. So all these ones, they are what they call prompt engineering. So it does not really have to matter that you can see these are 10 different jokes that is generated for me right now. So they are going to be in an array of objects. You can see they are going to be in an array of objects. You can see. So right now, the array of I can now say okay. If this is the case, let me iterate over them. So these are the jokes. You can see it gave me 10 jokes now. So that means that I can decide to pass this one into my HTML now. If I'm generating random joke every day or inspirational text on my website every day, I can give it to you and say, okay, AI, give me 10 inspirational quotes every day, right? So that means when it gives me, I'm going to be able to pass this one directly to, okay, let me do something now. Let's do something now. Let's go back. Let's do something now. Now, so let's say give me 10 random jokes, right? So let's go back to our code. So now let's go back here. Now we'll say now refactor. So I will say the OpenAI currently gives us 10 random jokes, right? And also create an HTML or use the index.html to create a beautiful list of jokes for us. Now, so what will happen now here now is that it will now go into that OpenAI something and now find a way to import it on our page. You will see. So I will wire an index page to display 10 jokes in a polished layout connected to your OpenAI script output flow. Let's see what it's going to do now. So I found an existing HTML, then it's going to inspect it, and let's see how. So this is what they call AI assisted coding, and that's okay. So this is what they call AI assisted coding because of what? AI is trying to assist us, but the thing is that, do you know what you are doing? Before AI can assist you, do you actually know what you are doing? You can't just say you want to be doing AI without some basic things. So I see that right now it's going to help us to export this, whatever is happening here, export it and give us on our HTML. So right now when you go there and make a request that our joke is listed. So that means that on your own page, you can decide to talk to an AI and say, okay, AI, give me stock updates. I want to be having stock update on my page every day. Or AI, someone like Peter now, for example, Peter is an AI, is a travel agent. Now, I can say, give me all the routes in Africa daily, right? AI can help you to pull off all those routes from that place and pull it off for you. When somebody gets to your website, they are able to see the route that they're going to see. So AI comes in a lot of ways, not about, oh, I'm generating website, or somebody say, oh, I'm doing whatever. No, that's not the way. So let's see. I think it has opened this one. Let's see this one if it's going to work. But one thing about Python is that it doesn't know that somebody is using already that port. Okay, somebody's using that port already. It doesn't know. Let me see. Let's go back here. So let's go back here and see. Okay, it said I should run it. Let's say run it for me. Run it for me. So right now it's going to open a Python server. Okay, let me see. Somebody's trying to join. I will open this Python server for me. And what I'm going to do here is that, okay, Bashir, okay. Why are people cutting off? Okay, so I will say open. Okay. So I will say open. Okay, cool. So it's asking me that I should. Okay, cool. So so we want to run Python server, and so that we can see the jokes, right? So what we have done here now is pretty much so. Okay, cool. It's failed. Let's run it again. Okay, so it has started. So let me run this one. Cool. You can see. So now what do we see here now? What do we see here? These are 10 jokes fetched by OpenAI. So what we have done right now is that we have built our own agent. Our agent now can automatically fetch jokes now for us and list our jokes on our website. Now let's go back to the code. I think before we move to PHP, I think we are already behind time. This is 10:11. So this is how our AI agent is able to pull up jokes for us and help us to render it directly in our this. Let's go back to our code. What happened here? Now, what happened here now is that so what this one done is that it just helps us to put this guy into a JSON file, which we don't want it to do, but what just help us to write it directly into the file, so that it won't be calling it every time. So if you go to our index.html, what happened here? Let's go to our JavaScript. So that's where the position is. So you can see that here we have the document.get element by it. If you remember the last time, I said when we talk about DOM, that is document object manipulation model. I said it's like the family tree of how we can communicate directly with HTML file. So right now, it's called about ID. I said ID will get you a single thing. I said if you use a class, you will have an object or an array. So right now you can see that we have all these elements here, which we call them joke list. So joke list means that this is the list of the jokes that we want to have. And here we have our status, which is also here, maybe like loading jokes. And when the joke is done loading, we say, okay, so we now have our reload. That's if we want to reload it. Then what do we have here? We have a function. I said the function is like an action that has a piece of code inside that performs a particular action. Like, for example, you have your car, you press accelerate. What happens in acceleration does not concern the user, but it performs a function, it performs a particular action. So a function is a piece of code that also performs a particular action. So what it does now is that it automatically takes jokes, and for each year is like looping over an array. How do we know an array? Let me show you an array. An array is a numerically indexed set of data. This is what I call an array. You have your red, green, blue. So the other day I talked about data types. So this is what they call data type of an array. It is called, you can't call colors red, you call color 0. Color 0 will give you, so if you call color 0 right now, so if you call color 0, you call colors 0 right now, it's going to give you red. That's what you're going to have here. You're going to have this red. So because that's how we are going to be able to access. So you can realize that what we have here is what we call array of objects. You have an array, you also have an object. So in one of our lessons, I spoke about this thing. I said you can have an array of objects. You can have an object like an object is a person. So in array, you can't store multiple items. It's not a dictionary. So you cannot store multiple items there, but you can have multiple objects in an array because you can access it by their index. You can see that the person is John. John has age, it has a name. You can now store this John inside an array. So that's what we have here now. So that's why I said the other day, understand what we call data types. How can we now work with data types, and how can we loop over them? One of the how we can loop over them is where we have this thing we call for loop. So the for loop is saying that take each of these joke, you have your index and you have your item. I said in an array, you can never get an array without mentioning the index. So the index we have here, let's take for example now, look at this one. We have here as index 0. That is the first item in the joke. We have index 1, second item. So until we get to the last number minus 1, the length of that item minus the last number, that's minus 1, so that we not run into index out of exception error. So that's why I said understand the fundamentals, so that we understand, okay, there's an array, there's a float, there's an integer, there is a set, there is object, there's a boolean, there's a lot of, so that way it makes it easy for you. Whenever you see a code, you will be surprised and say, okay, how did they get a joke here like this now? Oh, wait, I want to carry this joke, do like this now. So it won't be surprised to you. So right now, don't be surprised, because right now we already have our jokes coming as an array of objects. Then here we say, okay, document should create element of li, because what we're trying to do is that we're trying to have a list. We want to list our jokes. So how do we list our jokes? You realize that if I should inspect this page now, you will see that what we have here is ULLI. Like I said, ULLI is on order list. If you have worked with Microsoft Word before, you will see that they are in bullet. They call them on order list. Order list means that those things are going to be in order, right? On order list means that they are not going to be in order. So you can see that these are the LIs that were programmatically generated from here. So let's go back to our code now and see. Come here. So you can see here that we now say, okay, document.create. So what will happen is that you can either create it manually, or you can create it programmatically. So what they do now is that we can say, okay, document.create element. What's the name of the element? Li. Li means list. List cannot stay on its own without the parent. So the parent now that they have here is the OL. OL means orders list. That means they want you to take the jokes in that order. But normally people can read jokes randomly. So, but let's just take that jokes in order. So then the second, they said that now they said save text. So they now said if the type of item.joke ahead. The other day I was talking about undefined. As if Peter was on the call the other day, I was talking about undefined and difference between undefined and null. Now you can see that JavaScript introduced what we call save null. That means instead of it to throw an error, it will just return you null back. If I say item.joke, what am I talking about? I'm saying that if I pick this item, the first item, and say .joke is an object, does it have anything or not? Does this joke even exist at all? If it doesn't exist, it's going to fail, but fail safely. It's not going to throw an error. That's why they use this question mark dot. If you want to access objects in JavaScript, like I told you, object in everything in JavaScript is an object. So that is item.joke. Item.joke is talking about item here, dot this joke. It will now give us this answer, right? So now we now say, okay, put all this thing in a span and append it. Append a child. You know, append means, what does append means? Append means add it to the bottom, like you're stacking a plate. For example, you go to like a cafeteria now. You are piling plate on each other. You are piling plate on each other. So the piling plate. So prepend is different from append. Prepend is that you have to take it at the top, like a stack and queue. So append is like a queue. Prepend is like a stack. You understand? So at the end of the day, what do? We now say, okay, status.text content. Status is what? Is a paragraph. Paragraph now contains a text content. We now say showing dash of length. So the length means of what? How many jokes do we have? That is where the length comes in. So the length can be used on an array, can also be used on an array of objects. Now we now say, okay, that's fine. What will happen is that we're using our async await again here. What does it do? We said that instead of fetching jokes every time from OpenAI, we fetch it once and add it to our JSON file and now call it directly from here. You can see. So what we have done here successfully now is that we are able to do two things here today now. So if you go and watch the video back, you see the way myself and Bashir was able to connect Cloud Code. We install it on on my system, and we're able to go back to OpenAI platform to add the platform key, and we're able to set up an API client, and was able to pass our prompts directly into it and say generate 10 random jobs, return only JSON array in this shape. You can see. So what it means is that you can define the shape you want to. For example, let's say for example now I want to build a PDF. Let's say I want to build something like a PowerPoint reader, like something like Gamma. So if I want to build something like Gamma now, this is what Gamma is doing. Gamma is using something like this in the OpenAI and say write your prompt. So Gamma already knew what they want to return. You understand? So when this OpenAI returns a JSON, what do? We will pass the JSON, because this one returns to us what? A string here. Can you see my string? So in this string, it was a string. What we are going to do in this string is that we are going to do one thing. What we're going to pass it to JSON so that we can now say, okay, this is a correct passing, and we can now begin to access it and say, okay, if this particular guy has no joke, return there's no joke for the model. So that's what we have already done here right now, and it's pretty much really sweet. I'm really happy about today's lesson. So in our project, like I've said, we cannot escape using OpenAI for our project. So, and that's what we have been able to demonstrate in this teaching, that even though we can use Cloud Code for complex tasks without breaking them down into smaller parts. So breaking down complex tasks into smaller, more specific really help you. Understand? Ask students to share their experience with. Okay, cool. So I think I will go to Q&A now before I move to PHP. I think so. Has anybody in the class used any coding assistance before, whether Cloud Code or so has any student be able to use it before? Like anyone here be able to use any coding assistant before, whether you use Cloud Code, use Codex, you use whatever. So what has anybody used in this class before, like as a developer? So what have you been able to use to develop your code? Maybe you are building a website, you are building something. How many of you have been able to use coding assistance? Please, let's contribute. How many of you have been able to use coding assistance? So we're just trying to know what are you using it for? Are you using it for debugging, for writing the code from scratch, or what exactly are you using coding assistance for? I would like to know, to hear from us.
To do anything.
Can you hear me?
I said, I use it to do anything that has to do with coding. Or
so what? So which one were you using?
I used the chat assistant of Cloud, not Cloud Code. I go directly to the cloud.com.
That's beautiful. I think today we're able to demonstrate how easy it is to install Codex, right? So I'm supposed to go to Cloud Code, but I think I already have it already on my system. So now that one is gone. So if you look at all this is very well, I mentioned about data types. So I think we have a quiz. We have a quiz in our. So let's do that quiz if that quiz exists here. Testing our knowledge of JavaScript. So that will really help us to be able to understand how JavaScript works. So data types, like I explained, we have the integer, we have the array, we have the float, we have the boolean, and we have the object function. We have so many of them. So ability for you to understand how this data structure works will determine what you're going to do. You can see that in our joke API call, you can see that if I do not have the knowledge of array, if I have no knowledge of array, if I have no knowledge of object, it will be difficult for me to understand what this code actually does. So a good programmer can explain his own code. That is if you're a good programmer, you can explain your code one after the other, one by one. So a good programmer knows what it has written. So it's not that, oh, what does this line do? Oh, it's just, I don't know. What does this line do? Experiment with it. Know what this particular code is doing. So that way, it's going to, so these are the primitive data types that we have, and we have non-primitive that we have, so you can see. So we already logged them. and you can see what they do. So we have the big integer, we have the number value, we have the text, we have the not assigned. That's the undefined. Undefined is this. Undefined is this. I'm going to an address that does not exist. That's undefined. That address does not exist at all. Like it is not. So it's just like let me do an example for you now. Let's say, for example, I'm here now. I'm coming. Let me show you an example. Let's say here now. Let me comment out this guy. Let me comment this guy out. I want to show you something. I'm coming. I want to show you something. Dude, let me show you something. Okay, let me show you from here. So let's say I have an object now. You can see person, right? Let me comment out. Let me comment this guy out here. Let me show you what undefined is, so you see what is happening. So right now, if I come here and say console.log, I will say testing undefined. Right? So what I will encourage you is that if you don't understand what I'm doing right now, I think you should go back and rewatch this video so that you can understand. If you have watched my 3 video, you will see where I talk about data types, talk about all those things. So that's what we apply today. And subsequently, we are going to be applying a lot of things that we are doing here. So we are not afraid of AI. AI is very simple. By the time we are done with this course, you'll be able to build your own agent. So you can now take it further by building whatever. So you can even build PDF reader. You can build news. You can do whatever you want to do, right? So right now, I will now do person, right? If I say person.name, it will work because this person already exists. Let me run this guy now. You see, if I say person.name, it will give me John. You can see person undefined John. If I now say person.sex now, you can see the sex does not exist in this object. You can see it does not exist. So that's what we call undefined. So let me go here now and run this guy. If I run this guy, what do I want to get? Undefined. You can see undefined. That means that in this object, this particular guy does not exist. No sex. But if I put age, it will give me 30. So that's the difference between undefined. But let me show you what they call null. So null means that it is not even there at all. So undefined means that an object exists, so but I can't find the value. But null means it does not even exist at all. You can see that's null, empty. So now let's leave this one and let's go to the next part. So the next part is talking about introduction of PHP. So I would have talked about Node, but I don't really know Node that well, but I know PHP in and out. So now, if anybody has a question now regarding JavaScript and AI, please, you can ask a question now before we move to PHP. So we have just 45, we have just less than how many minutes now, Seth? We have 32 minutes now. We have just 30 minutes or whatever. So if you have any question right now regarding JavaScript, AI, whatever, how did we do this one? I'm ready to explain. So we have the next 5 minutes to answer our question before I move to PHP. Does anybody have any question? We are 4 on the call. Does anybody have any question? You have any question regarding JavaScript and maybe arrow function, your cons, your debug? So anybody has any question that they want to ask? Does anybody have any question that they want to ask? Any question? Any question? Are people sleeping? Are people sleeping already?
No question from my end.
Okay, no question. That's good. So I can't from Peter, I can't from Wale. That's fine. So now, for everything that we have done is what they call client side. Everything that we have done here is what they call client side. And the other day I was explaining an architecture. Excuse me, I'm coming. So the architecture is called client server architecture. Cloud architecture is quite easy and simple because it's just two architectural models where you have the client as your browser and you have your server. So whenever you make a request to your server, and it returns back you a response. So, but there are some times that beyond the normal architecture, we can have so many server architecture that exist. So everything we have done right now, you see that we didn't go to backend. Everything was done in the browser. Everything is on the browser, and every changes that we have made is on the browser. And that is one of the beauty of having this. Now, the other part is that there's sometimes that you want to, so although I know we have Node, but Node 2 is also like a backend, right? So there are sometimes that you need a database and you need whatever, and you don't want to have this Node configure a lot of things like. But if you have Node is a very good candidate for server side, right? But like I said, I don't know. It's been a while I code in Node, but PHP is my bread and butter. So right now I'm going to choose PHP as my as my language for backend. So right now you can see that if you already know JavaScript, PHP 2 is simple. So the only difference between it is that in PHP you have several syntax that you have to know, right? So let me go ahead and let me go here and see if I can run some PHP code here. So so let me go here and see if I can run some PHP code. Okay, cool. So here, let's try and add some PHP here. So I'll go here and add some PHP file here, so just for demonstration. So now we'll call it index. Okay, I don't want it to run, and this one I'll call it index.php. So in PHP, in JavaScript, you don't need to declare anything, but in PHP, it has to start from a syntax like this. Without that, the PHP parser will not understand what you're trying to do. So it has to be in this format. Otherwise, it won't understand it. So that's one of the things that makes PHP to different from JavaScript. Because JavaScript, you don't need to declare anything. You don't need to say left angle question mark PHP. You don't need to do that one. But if you're writing a PHP, you must put it that way. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So now, if you know data type in PHP, it's still pretty much the same thing. So you can just in PHP, we have what we call echo. Echo is like you want to print something out. So let me come here and do it's very simple. You can just put echo. So echo is just to output something. So if you come here and just do your normal, you can run the PHP, it's going to work. So you run the script. Here you have your hello. Where is it? Okay, you have your hello world. So that's good. So that's a normal PHP. So you have your normal hello world here. So and that way it's quite easy. So you can just do your normal hello world. So and that is your normal out or output in PHP. So it's quite similar to JavaScript. Just like JavaScript, we use console.log or we use print. Either of the two to print to the screen. So, but on the other side is that we have data types as well in PHP. So, but one thing about PHP is that the data type are just scattered everywhere. So it also has like the string, the integer. Let me copy this one so that you can see what the data type is. It's similar to what we have in JavaScript. The only difference is just that in PHP, everything has to be denoted with $sign. Without having a $sign, PHP has nothing to do or know anything about what you are saying. So let's put this one here. That's the name. And let's remove this one from here. That's beautiful. So now, the way PHP understand this one is that anything inside this single or double quote is a string. Anything that is a number is an integer. Anything that is decimal, you can say something like height. Let's put height here. Let's put height equal to 12.4, 1.8. That's fine. So anything inside that is because float. So you can see that it's similar to JavaScript. So that's why they said if you know one language, you do not need to relearn. For example, now you already know what an array is. So why do you have to go and relearn what arrays in Java in PHP? They work the same way. You understand? They work pretty much the same way. So now let's go back there now and let's go back there and see for ourselves. So now we also have control structure in PHP. So we have control structure in PHP. Let me do some copy and paste here. We have some control structure which is talking about our normal if else statement. So they are like, if this does not happen, that should happen. I will explain to us now so that you can understand that if you know JavaScript very well, you do not need to go and relearn basic syntax structure in PHP. They don't want it, because why should you be learning something multiple times? If I go to Golang today, I'm not going to go and be learning Golang. I'm not going to go and be learning if else statement. I'm not going to go and be learning. I'm not going to have time for all those ones. What I'll be learning in Golang are the internal structure like Go routine and all those ones. I'm not going to go to Golang and go and be learning if statement or whatever statement there, because I already know what an if statement is. I already know what an array is. I already know what a function is. I already know what those ones. So you can't find me going in Golang to go and be learning all those syntax, all those data structure. I don't need it. What I need for Golang to do for me is what is the benefit of Golang and what can I learn from Golang. Those are kind of things I want to learn from Golang, not so. And that's the benefit of you having the knowledge of one language. If you have knowledge of one language very well, you do not need to know to do more. So for example, now we have our for each. What's our for each? For each is a way of looping through an array. We did it the other time in JavaScript. It's the same tool in PHP now. We have the for each. For each here means that for each of the fruit that we are having, it should output all the fruit out. So if you go back here now and run this code now, what are you going to get here? You are going to get, you can see you are getting hello John. You have some fruit. That is the apple, banana, and orange. So it's the same thing, just that we write them in different ways, but we're actually talking about the same thing written in different ways. So in PHP, a variable is denoted by $sign. Without the $sign, you don't understand what PHP is. It will not work. In fact, we are going to be, let's do one thing now. Let's say here we have just another name, and let's run that. You can see that there will be syntax error here that will be completed by the compiler. So you can see it's telling you that there's an error here. There's an error here. So if you go back here now and put a $sign here, you will see that error is gone, right? So these are things that you are supposed to know in JavaScript, in PHP. It allows us to understand basic syntax. If you know data types, you know control flow. It really makes our life so much easy. So if you know those two things, if you know it's in JavaScript, there's no need for you to go and relearn it again. So you have your normal function. So what does the function does? And function is all the same thing. So you can see. So you don't need all those stress to give yourself stress. So we have our function. What are functions? Like we discussed at that time, we said functions are what? They are like a particular piece of code that does perform an action. I said example is what? Is to press a brake in a car. If you press a brake in a car, what happens is that you perform an action. So let's take a look at this one. Let me call this one. Let me call this one functions so that it can be very easy for us. We don't type everything to each other into everywhere. So we have function dot php. Yeah, function is okay. Have function dot php. That's fine. Okay, cool. So let's copy and paste what we have in that place here. So function, like I said, is a piece of code that performs an action. But a function can be without an argument or a parameter. What's an argument? It means that sometimes we might want to pass a value from outside to the function. This is what we call our parameter or argument. So that means that if I want to calculate sum, how do I get my sum? I can add 2 and 2 together. It will give me 4. I can decide to say, okay, I'm adding 3 and 5 together. It will give me 8. So a function can be used for anything. It doesn't matter. It's just used to arrange our code. So our code needs to be well arranged. How? They are arranged through a function. They are arranged through a function. So a function helps you to organize your code. Instead of you to write all this code down, you use the function to. So what the function does is just for you to organize your code. It does not mean that if you don't put the function that is not work. It's just that it makes it easy for you to organize your code. So function in JavaScript Function in PHP, they do the same thing. Function in Java, function is Python, function is anywhere, they do whatever they do. So what they do is that they're a piece of code that perform an action, or that change the behavior of an object, or they change behavior of an execution. You understand? So if you understand those basic things, it will really make our life so much. So that's what the function is all about. So, and don't forget, we have some syntax and everything like that. So it's kind of very easy for us to understand what all these ones are doing. So we will not get to Laravel today, but I think Laravel is a bit, so we have 20 minutes. But I will just go ahead and just explain. So just know that PHP is a server-side language. You cannot run in your browser. So if you run to your browser, it cannot, if you make a change in your browser, it cannot show immediately because it's PHP. It needs to be rendered. It's a scripting language. It's not going to be a JavaScript that you can just change a button and you just change. No, PHP will have to reload. So if you want something very dynamic and more stable, you go for JavaScript. But if you want something that can power your backend, because you need something like cache, you need something like something like WebSocket, like so many things like that, then the backend has to power you. Whether you're going to use Node or you're going to use PHP, is it going to be a backend? You understand? So how does front-end communicate with the backend? It is through what we call application programming interface. And that's what we call RESTful API. So RESTful API is the way the client communicate directly with the server. They exchange information through JSON. JSON is what we call JavaScript object notation. So how does it look like? We have done it the other time. We have said it several times. So we said a JSON is like this. This is what they call a JSON. You can see JavaScript object notation. Something like this can be what a server will return, just like we have it returned by our OpenAI the other time. You understand? You can make OpenAI to return YAML. Anything that you want to return, it will return it for you because that's the format that you want. So, but if you are developing for an API normally understands what we call JSON object, because that is exactly what the JSON understands. It's a JSON, it's a JSON. So that way we are able to understand. But the thing is that, what are the core principles of defining an API? There are a lot of core principles of defining them, but I think one of the things that we understand is that we have what we call HTTP method. When I go to this page and I refresh, what I've done is that I've done a GET request. I've done what they call a GET. Let's go to our network to understand what I'm talking about. So if you go to a network, you see that what I've done here now is a GET request. Let me see. No, network. So what I've done here right now is a GET request. Let me open it a bit better. A bit more. Okay, cool. So let me reload this page now. So a GET request, you can see. So this is a GET request that I've just done right now. So it's a GET request. So it's transferring some object, whatever. So 15 requests. I don't know what this one is doing. So, but this is a GET request, right? So it's not a post request. Go to this one. Just tell you that this is a fetch. It's a GET request, right? So, but if you have already dealt with form in the past, then you understand that people say that if you have anything that is safe and secure, pass it through where? Through a GET request. Sorry, a post request. If you are trying to log into a page, do you use a GET request? No, because a GET request will expose all your parameters in the browser. That means somebody that is at your back can see your password already in the browser. So you understand? So that's why we use our post request for operations that are going to be secure. You understand? Such as login, such as registration, such as fetching money from ATM card, such as all those ones that you perform that are very sensitive to sensitive. Use your post request to get them. But if it is get are just normal GET requests. It don't need to be gated. You understand? So we also have the core principle of API, which we call status code. Status code help us to understand what exactly are status code. They are what makes the browser to understand, like 401. 401 means that you are not authorized. So 200 means that it is okay. 201 means that that request was successful and it created something. So in this course, by the time we are moving forward, I think in our next class, we are going to move to Laravel and see what Laravel is. Laravel is a PHP framework. Laravel is a PHP framework. Now, what it does is that it said it is difficult for people to write PHP in a way that people will understand. When you're writing code, you're not writing code for yourself, you're writing code for multiple of people. If you are in a team, you don't want to have separate code base where you're going to be asking this one, my friend, where is the router? And where can I get controller? Where can I get this one? So that's why framework comes and say, okay, let's organize things. It does not mean that if you write the code as PHP, it will not want to work. But frameworks make our life so much easy. And that is why we realize that we are using Laravel as a PHP framework. Without PHP, there will be no Laravel. Although people are trying to praise PHP, praise Laravel and say, oh, Laravel is the one that doesn't allow PHP to die. But they forgot that if PHP is not progressing, Laravel will have died. Except maybe Laravel now want to go and do their own programming language. But if Laravel is not having a plan to do their own programming language, that means they depend heavily on PHP. So PHP is a programming language, which means hypertext preprocessor. So that's what it means. So right now, I think I will not go to Laravel today, like I've said. Laravel on its own is a very big stuff. I would like to explain the routing, the controller, the request handling and format. So these are part of the things that we talk about the API. So we'll have loved to do some basic of API and see the way the API returns data. So I think that don't permit us because in our next class, I think our next class should be in 2 days' time. That should be on Thursday, on 19th. So on 19th, we are going to do two things, right? We are going to build an API using Laravel. So number one is that what is Laravel? What are the core principles of Laravel? What is an MVC, right? What is a model view controller kind of system that we use in framework? Then what is the routing? What is the core principle of Laravel? Then if you know all the core principle, then we can say, okay, let's go ahead. Let's by Thursday or when is next on 19th. On Thursday, we are able to go to Laravel and build a RESTful API. And what we are going to do is that when we build the API, we are going to consume that API with our JavaScript. So we start from there by building small things, like using our fetch. I think we have not talked about the JavaScript fetch method to communicate directly with our API. We talk about tokens. How can we authorize our API in such a way that nobody can just come there from anywhere and just be accessing our tokens? We talk about rate limiting. How can we limit our rate in such a way that hackers cannot hack our website? All they have to do is that as long as they are making requests, they can only make 60 of those requests per second. So we are going to discuss about all those ones, and we are going to tie what we have learned in JavaScript and HTML together with Laravel, and from there we are going to start something meaningful. So, and that's how we're going to take this course far until we get to the part where we start building our chatbot. So we talk about the token generation, the JWT, authorization and policy gateway. I will explain all those ones. But if you want to learn Laravel as a backend, I think that will be on a different course. So if anybody want to learn backend on its own, I think that will be a paid course on its own. So anybody want to learn it, so you can reach out. I will teach you how to build a robust backend. So whereby you can build your own robust backend and you can start your journey as a backend engineer. So, but if anybody, for right now, I'm just going for the purpose of this course because it's not really like that intense. But I'm still going to explain to us how to build a resourceful or RESTful API. But if you want to learn backend development, that is a course on its own that will take you about 4 months to be able, or let's say 3 months to be able to understand what they call backend development. So to understand what they call gating, routing, caching, WebSockets, and everything that has to do. So how is Netflix able to stream and all those ones? I will teach you how to do all those ones. So that way you're able to understand, satisfy what you have already learned. But if you know what you are doing and you can watch this course, you still have a lot of things that you can learn on this course. So right now, I think I would take questions before I call it a day. So Does anybody have a question on what we'll be teaching this morning? Or you prefer to watch the video and drop your question maybe later? Peter, Wale, does anybody have a question? Anybody has any question that you want to ask? Does anybody has a question that they want to ask? So we have talked about a lot of things. We talk about our coding assistance, right? So everything's in this course. You can go back and watch it. So coding assistance, how we can use AI to help us in our coding, right? Beyond the coding, what we also did was that we built our own agent by using OpenAI. So what we did was we built our own agent, and as the agent, so what we did now is after that time, we got our token and put our token directly in our environment variable file. And we say that our prompt should give us 10 random jokes and put the joke in JSON format so that we can now link it to our HTML file and now render it. And that is why we now have this particular website that gives us joke. It gives us 10 random jokes. It gives us 10 random jokes every day. So we can have random jokes. You understand? You can reload the joke. You can reload the joke to give us another joke and a couple of stuff like that. So that's what we have achieved today. So what we have achieved today is that we have combined our teaching to say, okay, we want to solidify our knowledge of JavaScript and see, also talking about the coding assistance and also talking about how we can build our own agent, our own coding agent using OpenAI. So we have debugged our code using Claude. No, we didn't talk about Claude, but we talk about Open Codex. We stock Codex on our terminal, so which allows us to be able to create file, run some basic tasks, and run some commands. Like number one, starting up Python server, and also installing our packages from here as well. So which makes a lot of sense for us. So what we are going to do next, like I said, is to find a way to start our RESTful API. So this is where I will call it a day today. If anybody has any question, they can ask now. I think we have some few minutes right now. If anybody has any question right now, they can ask. I think Bashir is gone. Peter is gone, and Dewale is remaining here. So you guys can check your class now. You can check your classroom in a few minutes. This recording is going to be there. You guys should have a lovely day and see you on Thursday. Thank you very much, and bye bye. God bless.